girlfriend, believe it or not. I've only had one girlfriend my whole life. And I met her in Singapore, and she lived in Minnesota.
I only had
So I
one
moved to
last
Minnesota.
night.
And what's that?
I said I only had one girlfriend last night.
Oh, well,
Jeez.
you're right in the same club then.
We're
Then we
definitely cut
moved
from
to
the same
Kansas
cloth.
from Minnesota and started a trash business. And we're in the trash business for 17 years. And involved in the trash business, we got involved in a First Amendment suit that ended up United States Supreme Court. We won. The issue before the court was whether independent contractors working for the government have First Amendment rights. It should have been self-evident, but apparently we win 7-2. And then after that experience, we were still hauling trash for 2 more years, and I just couldn't get into it anymore. I loved hauling trash. I was the best trash man. I had my kids working for me and everything. But I convinced Mrs. Umbeh that, we got to sell everything we own, and we own quite a bit of stuff, a car wash, a trash company, a restaurant, all this other stuff, and go back to college with my kid. Don't ever go to college with your kid.
It sounds like a reality show waiting to happen there. By the way,
There's lots of titties in college.
Don't do it.
we've got David Vidal in studio, who I believe is going to provide us some background music during this political segment. So don't mind the music. This is not the Oscars. This is not Bill O'Reilly. I'm not going to go, I don't know what it means to play us out. So we're not going to have any of that. But Israel, you got anything for our libertarian guy here? We'll start it with you, my friend.
In a two-party system, dominated system, how is the Libertarian Party going to do anything different to bring itself to the forefront?
Oh, thank you. That's a great question. As a matter of fact, I have that question down to. I attended the Republican convention down in Wichita 2 weekends ago.
Why would you do that?
Why would you do that?
Republicans down there love me. The leadership, they shadowed me the whole time. But anyway, that question came up, and it's an easy answer. With the Democrats, you get Obamacare, the largest expansion of government. In Kansas, the majority of the state is Republican, and the state legislature in 2012, and with the pushing of Governor Sam Brownback, passed the most unfair tax plan ever been conceived. If you own your own business or run your LLC, and there's 191,000 of these kind of people, you pay 0 income tax. However, if you are the 1,320,000
professor returns
W-2 wage earners, you pay all the income tax. And people in Kansas are just frothing at the mouth. Well, the two-party system got you this. These two extremes. The Libertarian Party is a center party. And, in Kansas, we have some great stats here. If you go back the last 9 gubernatorial elections, 5 out of the last 9 elections, the median Republican voter put a Democrat in the governor's mansion. 5 out of the last 9. Right. John Carlin twice, Joan Finney once, and Kathleen Sebelius twice, to add insult to injury. But nevertheless, so, it's a little over 50%, not quite 60, unless you go back the last 12 elections.
Well, this is what I say, right, about the two-party system, right? And I want you to play devil's advocate, right?
Certainly.
There's right and wrong, right? So one party's right and the other one's wrong, and everyone knows that, right? So why do we need a third party? Because there's no right, wrong, and or. Your mom always says to you, no buts, just it is, right? So why aren't these guys right? Now, I personally don't mind for rich people to get richer and take my money. I think it's a noble thing to do because we all know that it trickles down back to us. So it's kind of like evaporation, but just on poor people. You follow?
Right.
So what's wrong? What's wrong with the little discrimination, based upon economics? It's good for you. You just got to find someone below you to discriminate it against. And I think that that's the problem. We just need to find more people to discriminate against, so we can be better. It kind of off balances the discrimination that happens to you. What do you think about that?
Well, here, let me go back to right, wrong. When you're standing in front of your mom, there's right and there's wrong, and there's no gray area.
Right.
In the politics, we're talking about interest. And, interests aren't right or wrong. It's just they got the more money, they got the interest, they can get the legislation passed where they pay 0 income tax. That's discriminatory. 191,000 people get to ride the bus for free, 1.3 million wage earners got to pay the full freight. That's not fair. And what it amounts to, and what is the problem is, to give the 1.3 million taxpayers a zero income tax status costs the state of Kansas $1.7 billion. And the legislature is never going to find it convenient to give up $1.7 billion of revenue. But wait a minute. Was there a time in Kansas in the not too distant future where we did have $1.7 billion in less revenue? Yes.
I think if we sold marijuana as a state, we could get $1.7 billion of revenue. I think so.
I'm sure of it, but I'm not. You know, the Libertarians.
I'm sure.
40 years. We've gone through 21 election cycles. We have 0 Libertarians elected. I cannot risk putting. And there's an argument to be made for marijuana. Absolutely, no question.
If a Libertarian is elected, could I liberally smoke reefer? Is that what you're telling me? Because that would get my vote theoretically. Not that my vote could be bought by pot, because it could. Well, it depends on how much pot you're talking about. Potentially. Now, I'm just saying that that's the way the world works. Now, I'm actually for, you know, I think that there should be a third party, you know what I mean? And I actually think that this is just my own personal opinion, and people, you know, harp on me all the time. I think that whoever's elected president should have to renounce their partyship until they're done being president. Our president should be independent of either party. That's how I feel about it. But I'm a forward-thinking person who uses their brain, and no one has to do that anymore because thanks to the government, they think for you. So, you know, that's why no one gets it. I'm behind. You know, I still use my brain.
You know, it's an interesting point you bring up, you know, about when a person becomes president. Same with governor. With governor, you're governor of all the people. And, you know, administration has to look like the people of Kansas. And you need Democrats and Republicans, and you need independents and stay-at-home moms and homeschool people. And
Hot stay-at-home moms.
Hot stay-at-home moms.
Well, absolutely.
Absolutely. Now, Keem, we're on the subject of the marijuana and hot house moms, which I think both of those things go together. But recently today, I believe it was KansasExposed.org has a story about the worst senator in Kansas, and apparently. Let's see here. Across the nation, state legislatures, as we all know, have productive debates on the prospects of legalizing or decriminalizing marijuana. But apparently, this senator, Mary Pilcher Cook, refuses to give any bills any consideration, and also blocked a bill pertaining to medical marijuana to be voted on by the Kansas Senate. How can we make any type of progress when we have people such as Pilcher Cook here just basically being like a 5-year-old and saying no all the time?
If she smoked pot, she would know.
Well, I tell you, Kansas is going to be one of the last states to do it, to legalize any form of marijuana. But right now, there's 125 House seats and 40 Senate seats the Libertarians could run for. And in April, in our April nominating session, we could nominate people to run for those positions. That's who changes the law, the legislature. The governor sits here. He can encourage policy and try to affect it that way. But until we get legislators in the Kansas legislature who are willing to promote, support, and force that out of committee and into an open vote in each of the houses, nothing's going to change. Now, what Kansas needs to do is have a referendum. Let's put this on the ballot. Let's get this question answered once and for all in Kansas, because being right next to Colorado, I'm a criminal defense lawyer, and ever since Colorado has legalized recreational use marijuana, it's coming across the border on I-70. They come into our county, and our caseload has gone just crazy.
Those guys are heaven sins, but sorry that they get prosecuted.
They're catching them so fast they write them a ticket and take the drugs and send them on their way. They can't process them fast enough, you know. And, you know, Eric Holder, our U.S. Attorney General, in October said the federal government's not going to prosecute marijuana cases anymore.
Thank the Lord. That's all I gotta say.
Obviously this Mary lady is not a politician. And
Oh, wait a second. David Vidal, what is a politician? You're a.
I have no idea.
Hey,
It's pretty self-explanatory.
Definition on that one.
I'll just say, Keem, that I prayed to Jesus twice last night that marijuana gets legalized because I think it's what he wants. And I don't think that the state of Kansas is in any predicament to go against Jesus. So, with that said.
Well, nothing more can be said after that.
I just want to do the Lord's will, and that's it. And, you know.
In all seriousness, though, we got to get, the Libertarians got to get some power. We got to get power because we got to get at least 5%. But with this tax argument, I only need 350,000 votes. And where am I going to get 350,000 votes?
The African American community.
You betcha. There and the unions. And the unions are loving this message because if I can say, listen, your wage earners are being taxed when the 191,000 who own their own business are being taxed zero. And all we have to do is go back to a 2004 state budget when we had $1.7 billion less, and that wasn't too long ago. And we don't have draconian cuts. We have smaller government with smaller missions, with a smaller, footprint in our lives. That's what the Libertarian stands for.
Reefer.
You betcha. The smaller government is you got to quit feeding the pig money, and you will have smaller government. And what we're really looking for is a smaller imprint in our lives. We want more freedom and more liberty to live our lives as we want. And then we start getting libertarians running for these 125 House seats. We can change legislation. And, the first step ought to be medical marijuana. My son's a doctor down in Wichita, runs Atlas MD, great clinic. And but the idea of it is, there's over 700 conditions for which medical marijuana would be very useful for. And, why stand in the way between that doctor and that patient? There's no, legitimate reason for the Kansas and the legislature to keep that prohibition going. So there is a good argument to be made for it. Now, I had my own client.
I think that Kansas should put the can in cannabis.
Put the can in cannabis.
That's just my personal thoughts.
By the way, we've got David Vidal and a few others in studio. Do any of you guys have any questions for our libertarian as far as libertarian views or pot of any kind, whether that be medical or recreational? Has anybody got anything?
I think that it's, and I'm going to say this now, I'm going to be serious for like 2 minutes, that I'm going back to smoking reefer. But for this 2 minutes, I'm serious.
Okay.
All right, don't make me laugh, guys.
I'm ready.
All right, this is the truth of the matter. I think that the Libertarian Party is underestimating the impact that the African American culture has on the United States as a whole.
Yep.
The Republican and Democratic Party only care about the vote when it benefits them. For black people, honestly, we need to either find a third party that's going to support our cause, or we need to find a party altogether that's going to be for the cause of the African American community.
Yep.
I think the Green Party, the Independent Party, the Libertarian Party are greatly misunderstanding the value that African Americans have to the culture and the influence that we have. And if they would actually try to work with the community, it would take no time at all for them to overcome either the other two parties, because the Democrats and Republicans at the end of the day are on the same end of the spectrum, but just at different points.
I couldn't agree with you
serious
more.
Moment.
A very serious moment. But I tell you, the Libertarian Party is a home for African Americans. When I was out at the convention 2 weeks ago, I stopped by the Republican Black Convention, and
Why?
Great people.
Why?
We have them, and they
what? If I would have went, I would have only wanted to do one thing, and I'm sorry for cutting you off, but I'd have flipped the bird at Herman Cain, and that would have been great. I'd have had a fabulous day after that, like with a bagel and orange juice. But that'd have made my life feel great.
Well, I tell you what, though, the Libertarian Party is a party of the center. And we own freedom, and we're convincing Republicans to come our way. We're convincing Democrats to come our way. The independents, the great unwashed independent, 47% of the nation identifies with the independents, and we can change Kansas, and it's highly likely we'll be the first state in the union to reach 5% for the Libertarian Party. It's also very likely that we can actually win this gubernatorial race. with 350,000 votes. And because our message is just what everybody wants to hear. More freedom, less government, more liberty, individual responsibilities. We don't need government telling us what we need to do on every portion of our life. And if we can take, just like the abortion argument, don't get between me and my doctor, and it ought to be the same, you know, at least starting with medical marijuana. But I'm not going to put it on my platform. I don't think, you know, the history of Kansas, I think that is something that the Libertarian Party has been so closely associated with that people don't see the Libertarian Party as standing for any other serious things like school choice and government accountability and those things.
I think you brought up a good point about abortion, and I think that we need to look into like late term abortion, like maybe 30, 40 years, because I know some people who are pretty much assholes, excuse my language, and if you just called it a late term abortion, it's not murder. And that's all I'm saying. I know that's not the libertarian stance.
Extremely late term abortion.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like this, we needed time to think about this one, and we want to take him back. No, seriously, that was funny, but
I just love David Vidal is just sitting over there trying not to bust out laughing. He's just sitting there just.
You're right, but see,
observing. Keem is not able to keep it together on Skype. Everybody else in the room is just like, what?
Did he just say that? Yes. And you guys might not publicly agree, but in your head, you're like, you know what? This guy's kind of smart. Now
he's got a little bit of a point. David, do you have anything?
I do. I think that the perception that we have a two-party system needs to be changed. And
absolutely.
I think that the media continues to promote that perception so that people don't think that they have choice, and they do.
Yeah. And
like in the last election, I did not vote for a Democrat or a Republican, and the two candidates that I thought appealed to me were the Green Party candidate and a Libertarian candidate. Those are the real choices. And the more we change that perception that the public has, the more likely that people like this gentleman will get elected. And I think that would be a great thing, because we would be unleashed.
Well, it pissed me off because they wouldn't even let like the Libertarian president candidate. Who was the female that was a presidential candidate? Was that the Libertarian Party?
No, Jill Stein from the Green Party.
They wouldn't even let her debate. You know what I mean?
She was a great candidate.
Yeah, like, you know, because there again,
and so was Gary Johnson. They were both excellent candidates.
Well, the problem with those two is that they need to stop using their brain. I tried to explain that. They're thinkers, and no one likes thinkers. We just like people.
Seriously, I think the problem is the media just pigeonholes them as being outsiders. They don't include them, and so they never have a choice. If people heard the message, then they would respond to it.
Yeah, absolutely. But and that's what I'm saying. I think that it has to be non-traditional methods that these parties are using, that the Libertarian Green Party are using, not this, you know, this, I don't even know how to put it, like this old way of thinking that has to change. And really, the Democrat and Republican Party, man, they're so out of touch with what people are actually going to, but people don't feel like they have a choice. You know what I mean?
And they don't, because they're one and the same now. I mean, you really can't distinguish the Republican and Democrat at the federal level from anything. They both are voting for increased budgets and increased size of government, and they don't seem to distinguish themselves at all. So the two-party system has evolved into one big mass of a party, and the Libertarians are the ones that are carrying a message for freedom and liberty and smaller government, but with smaller budgets and smaller imprint in people's lives. And that resonates. We can sell that. People are buying it every day because they're seeing the two-party system doing nothing. Good.
Well, Keem, we have just about run out of time, my friend. I appreciate you making time for us today.
Thanks for putting up with me.
Yeah, thanks for putting up with this.
I look forward to seeing you at the convention.
Yes.
Hey, I look forward to it. We'll be down there on the 26th. You know, I'm getting out of law practice. I have 10 cases left. By the end of February, I'll be all done, and then we're going to campaign full time. And so we are really excited about I mean, you know, to save your life, you got to jump off the cliff, and so that's what we're doing. We're going to jump off the cliff.
You just got yourself a volunteer. You put up with my bullshit, so I'm coming down to volunteer and lend, you know, my expertise. I have about 4 trillion Facebook followers, but the servers are down, so they all can't get through. So they're going to be there, but it's a lot of them, and I'm going to devote my words to 4 trillion.
4 trillion.
Well, Keem, I appreciate it, sir, and we'll see you at the convention.
All right. Hey, thank you very much, and thank you guys for being on.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Keem Umber with us today, coast to coast and border to border.
Yeah.
David, do you have a song for us as we get ready to go to the top of the hour?
I'll just make some noise.
Just make some noise.
That's usually what I do.